This is intake, this is an intake, this is an intake, this is on top of my intake. Yo dog, I heard you like intakes, so we're gonna intake while you watch intake. Intakeception. I think that's about all the jokes about the intakes. Today on Intake, we're swapping out Project Z's intake for this HKS style intake that we bought online. The only thing that's gonna suck harder than this intake is that ladyboy you found in the back alley that one night in Bangkok. So we got a little bit of a different episode because we got a bunch of stuff for both cars today. And we're going to open up all these gifts because why the fuck not? So the first thing we've got is the HKS Super Power Flow Reloaded. Ooh, that means it's like the Mark II, doesn't it? It's got super lip funnel, super stealth frame, 3-layer super. This is exciting just reading the packet. If this was a breakfast cereal, this is like the kind of thing you put there, you put your bowl in front of it and you sit there reading the back of the box while you're eating your cereal. And the box is fucked, of course. But, good news everyone, this isn't for the Z, this is for the Subaru. So I'm going to put that aside. But that's what a genuine HKS filter looks like. That's pretty good. Love those noises. It's got some metal bits on it. It's all that. Oh, I think you undo that to get it out. Fuck yeah. We won't be undoing that, it's too hard. So the second thing we've got is for Project Z. And it's a knockoff HKS intake system. Now I know what you're thinking. Don't buy rep parts. Well, you can't buy this, and the casting's still pretty good. I'm only going to run this temporarily till I get the dual MAF sensor thingy, but I get so many comments about fucking off that airbox, and you know what? You guys are right. I should fuck off that airbox. So today, we're going to mount this thing on, and it's also got some filters to go with it. Now, if I open these up, we'll see. They look like... Oh, it's got a thing around it. That's clever to wrap it. Same, yet different. I wonder if we were able to find the genuine one of these, whether this and this would be more similar. Like, I'd expect a logo there, but I don't even know the size is sort of the same. Anyway, what we'll do is we'll figure out how to bolt it on, we'll run it, and if it's crap, we can just fuck it off. I can't even get this on there now. Right, that goes on like that. Right, that's going to go on like that. Smells like China. China. Well, that one fits. Why does this one not fit? It's a little bit oblong. So as you can see, the castings are pretty good. The filter casings are nice and firm, and the knobs to get the filters off, like, they twist pretty easily. For an $80 piece of equipment, I'd say that this is a pretty good pair of bolt-ons. So the next thing we've got, now this is for the next episode of Project Z, and I'm just giving you an update now because we've been a little bit busy recently, and I've got to fuck off back to Japan for a bit. So we've ordered a bunch of stuff. We won't be able to film this until mid-June, so we're going to have a bit of a mid-season break. But when we come back, we're getting the car ready to take on the track. So we've got some shit house bubble wrap that needs to fuck right off. Still stuck on everything. Camber adjustably army things. Don't know how these work, but as you can see that we've got too much camber in the front wheels. We're going to fit some wider tyres on there as well, so we might need a bit more adjustment. But we just want to piss off a little bit of that cam because there's like 4 degrees or something. So the next episode after this one of Project Z will be getting new tyres, getting this installed, which we'll do, of course, we're not going to pay someone else to do that, and setting up the suspension and the alignment. And that'll basically get us ready for our first track day. We've got good tyres, good suspension, we've already got good brakes. The car's running really nicely at the moment, so I just need to work out how to get a CAMS license, race suit and helmet, some sweet racing gloves, that kind of stuff to go in my glove box. And so yeah, look out for this episode coming shortly. The last package that we've got is for the Subaru, because I am so confident that we're going to come in at under $2,000 for Operation Sports Wagon, our RUF, rough 911, because it is a very rough wagon. And we've still got the exhaust, the coilovers and the strut brace to go. But I totally believe that we're going to make that budget, so I've bought some Hellatone horns, because if I didn't have these, I may as well not have a backwards hat, a Desire to Vape, and an STI badge on a non-STI car, which coincidentally I bought as well, because why the fuck not waste $10 of our $2,000 budget? And it's to cover up the 2 holes in the back where I took that Outback badge off. So we can stare at this obvious symbolism for tits all day, or we can install them into the car, so let's just get into it. For those playing along at home, this is a one beer job. I'm on call for work at the moment, which I've got to be 0-0 for, so I can't drink today. Where's my green tea? It's my other vice, because it's JDM as fuck, of course. Obvious joke about removing this fucking thing again. If you've watched this channel before, you know that I may as well not even install this thing, because it spends more time out of the car than it does in. If anyone knows where to get these from, I broke 2 of them, so I'd like to get another one, or 2. I hope we don't have to remove the front bar for this, that's going to be annoying. I'm sure we don't. Oh, man, that takes up so much space. I reckon we do have to remove the front bar. I love those noises. Okay. Now, PTU. I reckon that if I just sort of systematically take things apart, then like we can remove it piece by piece. I probably have to take the front bar off, I reckon. I don't want to do that. That's not something that I'm in for today. That's got a screw, that's some screws there. Washers. Doesn't even have a washer. Now, see, that's looking like it's doing something. There's some screws from the MAF sensor there. Unless I take the MAF sensor off. Yes. Absolutely hitting stuff. I reckon there's going to be people on the internet saying that's not how you do it, you're supposed to do it this other way, which is probably heaps easier, and you should have told me that last time. Alright, what we'll do is undo the MAF sensor from this box. So that's doing it up. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Okay. So this intake is quite big and bulky. I reckon we're getting closer and closer to the 50-50 distribution that 8.6s have, and it's a much better car. The old 300ZX. Hang on, I reckon if I just push that. Oh, there you go, that's how you do it. And now we can see what we're working with. 2 K&N air filters. K&N, China. Remind me why I'm doing this again. These are probably Chinese knockoffs as well. They were the smallest air filters I've ever seen. They're tiny. No wonder they've got 2 of them. Why don't they just make 1 big filter? Oh, where is it? I'll get that off there. Let's fuck that off. This would be easier if I had a longer rod. Sometimes size does matter. You stay there, little buddy. So the big question is, where am I going to mount the PTU unit at the end of the day? I think down here somewhere. Yes. Big question. How does that come out? But these holes here, we've undone them, and then there's going to be two more at the front. And they totally go to where we bolted the intercooler system onto. So I have to unbolt the front bar, unbolt the intercooler to get to these bolts. I reckon I just break it. I absolutely think that would be a much better idea. So today I can't be asked taking the front bar off and the intercooler system off, so I'm just going to drill out the rivets that hold that bracket in place. And then we can piss the airbox off without damaging it, because we can always re-rivet something back on. Oh, this is going to take forever. I'll angle grind them. Ah, fuck it. Didn't want this anyway. This is not an approved Nissan servicing tool. Just get out of my car. There's a lot of shit in this airbox, you know. All this because Ben didn't want to film taking the front bar off. Yes, now just cut the fucking bracket. They're not even full fucking holes. They slide out. That's so great, I don't have to keep any broken parts in the car. So that's how you fuck off the airbox for a 300ZX. Right, so we're ready for the next part of our project, and that is to reinstall the mass airflow sensor with the addition of the new intake onto our 300ZX's intake. For those of you who are counting along at home, the first person to post the amount of times that we say intake in this episode of Intake, including that time that I just said intake just now, and that one, on our Facebook page with the link to this episode of Intake, you'll get a free intake sticker. Make sure you include all those too. So what we're going to do, so that's going to go like that, and it goes back up. So we'll put the new air intake system into our MAF, and we're going to see if China can do threads, because I'm not convinced that this is all going to fit the way that it should. Prove me wrong. If anyone's got a genuine one of these at home, I'd like it. Right, that goes into there. I got this clamp off a spare clamp off a BMW. This is going to be better, because we know BMWs are very reliable and never fall apart, and nothing fails in them. And it is actually a BMW branded clamp. And with this BMW clamp, the car has an air of elegance, word of the day, to it. European luxury parts. Like European taxi parts. So with the slightly longer bolt, we're going to use one of those existing mounts that was there for the airbox. Mount that PTU unit that we moved in a previous episode. Was it the last episode? Last episode of Intake on Project Z, I think. So, and that's going to go right there. And we don't want to really talk, you just want to do this on light. Don't talk to spec, just light, otherwise you'll break the unit. But it's secure in place, one bolt will do the job. And then you know what, because I like to get things nice and neat, got a zippy tie. We're just going to zippy tie these cables together. Just like that, so they're out the way. And now you just snip the tip. Fucking bon appetit. So before we put everything back together, we're just going to start the car up and see how it sounds. Everything's nice and secure. If you hear the sucking noises, you know we're onto a good thing. I can't hear any noises over this noise of that fan. It sounds like it's opening a vortex into another dimensional plane. It's really loud. It almost sounds like sucking. I love how everything just goes together neatly. That's really loud. You know, they say the best projects are the ones that you say that you really can't tell that you've done. Is that what they say? That's what I'm saying. We've got a new intercooler system, a new intake system, a new radiator system. We've deleted a fuckload of stuff from this engine bay and wound the boost up, and it still looks standard. The average person would open this bonnet or hood and say, yeah, it's nothing special, it's just a standard car. And for all intents and purposes, it pretty much is. Just a little bit better. Pretty happy with the way it's come up so far. Really needs a bit of a paint job though, and over the course of winter we'll probably get that going. You know what, we're going to take this for a drive today, but before we do that, let's install some Hellatone horns on a Subaru. Fuck yeah. If you're still with us, then you've joined us for the Subaru WRX, STI, Porsche 911, RUF, Lancia, Turbo, Quattro, Pluto, Audi, this thing. The Subaru Outback that we're trying to build into a better sports car than a BRZ. If you only watch us for our 300ZX channel, 300ZX portion of the channel, then you won't be familiar with the H6 Subaru Outback that is the legendary boxer Porsche noise maker of extremities. But today, because I reckon we're going to have more money left over in our budget of our $2,000 build, including the purchase of the car, we're going to install some Hellatones on this thing, because that seems to be what all the Subaru people do. I'm not sure what to do with my hands. To do that, we need to fuck off the old horns, install the new horns, and press the beep button. Here's what it sounds like prior to installing the Hellatone horns. It's really not all that obnoxious, and you couldn't imagine the person sitting in behind that steering wheel is vaping and wearing a backwards hat. First thing we're going to do is piss off these horns. Going to take a slight stab in the dark, as I quite often do. But this is going to be a one beer job for those playing along at home. And again, I'm on call for work, can't drink today. I had my green tea, it's delicious. You know, it's funny, like this is white under this black. It's like Subaru have painted the car, the whole car white, and then going, no. It needs to be more stealth inside the grille. Beautiful. Undo the horns, you press the tab in, pull it out, just like that. Unless it's this horn, which becomes a hell of a lot more difficult. There we go. These are pretty small horns. It's no wonder that people fuck them off just like that, replace them with something quite significantly larger, like they do with the exhausts on the back of these Subarus. This is like the Canon equivalent of a horn. I got two of them to go on here. You know what, I can see that people think they look cool. It's going to look pretty cool. Now because the original style horn was a single prong and this is a two prong, what we've had to do is make up an earth jump thing, which is going to go there, goes onto that hole there, and it just gets bolted on to the factory position. But I've got to widen that up because that's not really going to fit at all. Ooh, hang on, it might. if I thread it through there, that is absolutely gonna fit. I've put it in upside down. So I'm convinced that this is what makes Subarus. Like, I've never seen like a decent Subaru kind of go fast car that doesn't have these on here. Where's that supposed to be? Is that supposed to be all the way up there? It's supposed to be really visual, isn't it? So we've got our first horn in place, which means we're ready for our second horn. So we'll go and unwrap that now. It's like Christmas every time. So while I'm fucking around with this, you might have noticed that I ended up getting new wheels. So what happened was, I drove around from my place to Melbourne for a whole day looking for a set of wheels, and I ended up finding some. And they cost me 180 bucks. So we're going to add that to the score. But then I sold the old wheels that didn't fit the new brakes for 180 bucks that same day. So we can deduct that from the score, and if you're into algebra, which means you can cross it out, which means I don't even have to write it on there. I'm at exactly the same place as I was before the great wheel fiasco of intake 2018. And what are the new wheels that I bought? They're WRX wheels. Because WRX wheels clear WRX brakes. And I really like these wheels. These are the wheels I wanted to get in the first place. Yeah, before you jump on there and keyboard warrior, I know the tyres are too small. So before you jump on a computer, before you jump onto the comments section, and by all means jump on the comments section, because I enjoy reading those comments and responding to them. I know the tyres are too small. They're for a WRX. I need to get bigger tyres, which I will do at some stage, but they're really not important because they're currently the same size as what's on Nick's car. Which means it's like, you know, comparable. Although we're making a better car than Nick's car, so we don't really want comparable. We want to beat the shit out of his car. How do people put these things in? They're annoying as fuck to play with. What's it caught on now? There must have been like one guy who said, you know what? I need bigger horns on my Subaru. They need to be red. And they need to look like Exhibit's put a sound system in my grill. I just don't want normal looking horns. They've got to look bloody good. And they've got to be loud, so that when the exhaust system doesn't wake up the neighbourhood, I can do it by pressing my horn. And I reckon that's what's happened. The advent of the Hellatone horns on Subarus was invented at that day. It came about like a reckoning force. The apocalypse. Remember in what's that movie with the comet, Deep Impact? There's a wave at the end and takes off that main character into the beach. It's the Hellatone horn effect. That's what I reckon. Anyway, like, whoop! We don't even know what these sound like properly yet, do we? Can't even get this one on. So before we tighten everything up, let's just see if they work. They sound a little bit high pitched. Is this what they're supposed to sound like? Because this sounds a little bit... How you going? There's no advantage to this. So we're just going to check that they're level before we tighten everything up. It's actually spot on. That's pretty fucking good. I wonder people like these things. Just make sure this side's torqued to spec. Absolutely bloody marvellous. Oof. Now you know, when you see this coming up behind you, that is a race car. I can horn with the best of them. Let's press that button again. Ooh. Well, it's no La Cucaracha, but apparently it's cool. I don't know, I guess it's cool. So we've got 2 holes in the back from where we took the Outback badges off when I bought the car. So what I'm going to do is just put this STI badge on, because STIs make your doodle hurt. STIs make race cars. And this is a race car, and it's a Subaru. I should get a Porsche badge. Oh, that's straight enough, isn't it? Yep, that is straight. It's to cover the holes up. You know, these Subarus will rust up on you like there's nobody's business. It is straight. I've done a good job of that. So you probably want me to add this shit to the tally of the build of the car. And I will do that. So those wheels, like I said before, they were 180, but we sold the old wheels for $180, so we don't really need to put those on there. It just cancels each other's out. It's like Findex. The badge was $10. That is the weirdest looking O in the world. So those horns were $40, minus 40. We have to include those bits because they're race car parts. I did get a new front bar for the car. That was $220. You guys can tell me in the comments whether I need to include it in this tally. The old front bar is not going to make the car faster or slower. It's not a race car bar. Race car bar. But if I buy a front lip for the car, then I will include that price on there. But you guys can tell me in the comments below whether I need to include the cost of the front bar to the cost of here. So those on Nick's team might say, yeah, you got to add that in so you totally can't buy other race car parts. But maybe those who are following or supporting Team Outback Sports Wagon 911 Turbo H6 might say, or maybe they'll say, what the fuck? Well, maybe they'll say, no, you don't need to include those at all because that front bar that you had on there was sufficient enough for beating an 8.6, even though it had hit a Kangaroo bat. So, whatever you guys reckon, you can tell me in the comments below if I need to put a minus 220. So our stand-in beer for the day was our green tea. We used 1 green tea, which is equivalent of 1 beer for installing those, what are they called? Horns. I'm gonna mark that down on there. I didn't spill it, it was delicious. If you don't like green tea, then fuck you. So that brings us to the conclusion of this episode of Intake. For those who have been counting the amount of occurrences that we've said intake in this episode, if you comment the number of times I've said that on our Facebook page where we've linked up this episode, the first person to do that correctly will get a sticker of an intake sticker. No, fuck that, that's not good enough. We'll give you all our intake stickers, 1 of each one. And don't forget, we've also got their competition, which ends the 31st of May. We can win a sticker pack and a intake t-shirt by uploading a photo of your car with an intake decal on our Facebook page and tagging 2 of your mates. And that'll be drawn very shortly. Sorry for the haphazard episode today. I know we featured both cars in here, but you know, we haven't uploaded for you guys recently. Our producer and director has just had a new addition to the family, and I'm getting ready to go over to Japan again. So we wanted to get something done before we went away, else you guys won't have a new episode for us for like a 2-month-long period by the time I get back. So, you know, this is better than a kick in the balls with a blunt stone boot. So don't forget, next episode of Intake featuring Project Z will be camber arms. We're going to have our resident expert in there to help us do the tyre install and do the suspension setup for a sort of semi-track car. It's a track road car. So you don't want to miss that episode, especially if you're sort of interested in perhaps taking a car to track. The next episode of the Subaru will be when our boatload of shit comes in from Japan. We've got an exhaust, strop brace, coilovers, maybe a couple other bits and pieces in there. Really finish that car off and get it ready to battle. Round 1, fight. To battle Nick's GT86. Where is Nick? He's probably on Google researching how to make that car go faster. Then he would have given up after 5 minutes when it says you can't make it go faster, gone on to RedTube or something like that, and then worn his right hand out. That is probably where he is. He will be back shortly after we get back from Japan and film our next episodes. So don't forget, like, comment, hit the notification button, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Hit our Facebook page, hit our Instagram page. If you see me in the streets, don't hit me. That would hurt. I wouldn't like it very much. Until then, don't forget, everything should be talked to spec. Wasn't a 10 mil, that's why it went straight to the ground.